All right, first up for our polenta, crispy polenta triangles is going to be to cook a batch of polenta. And I'm using real polenta, see, polenta. I know some people, they use cornmeal for this. Cornmeal's a little different in polenta. Cornmeal's ground finer, and I think you have more problems with lumps, and it's just not as easy to work with. So go try to find actual polenta or order it online. And it's a very simple recipe. It's 4-to-1, 4 parts water or stock or other kind of liquid to 1 part polenta. So I have 2 cups of salted water that I brought to a simmer, and I stirred in a half a cup of polenta. So usually I make a 4-cup batch of water with 1 cup of polenta, but I'm just doing a half batch here for these triangles. Some people use stock, some people use part milk. You do what you want to do. Now I'm not really going to flavor this too much. This is going to go with a really flavorful chicken and mushroom dish. So I just went with the salted water and the polenta. I'm going to put in a little cheese here in a second. But that cooked for about 20 minutes. And you got to give it a good stir once in a while. You shouldn't have any problems with lumps if you're careful when you first introduce it and you whisk it when you sprinkle it in. And then as it cooks, just give it a stir every once in a while with your wooden spoon. And that cooked for about 20 minutes. Again, give it a taste. If you can taste the grains of the cornmeal, if it's still a little crunchy, let it cook longer. And then once the heat was off, I stirred in a 1/4 cup of Reggiano Parmesan. Now that, of course, is for flavor, but it's also the cheese is going to help us crisp up the edges of this when we go and saute it. And you'll see that in a couple minutes. So I'm going to take that still warm polenta. See, when polenta cools, it gets really hard. So you got to do this step when it's warm. I'm going to spread that out in my pie dish. If you want to make squares, use a square dish. All right. Now this will set in about 30 minutes. All right. So let it cool down to room temperature. Throw it in the fridge. And in about 30 minutes, it should be firm enough to work with. You can, of course, do this the day before. Now I want to pat that down with a piece of plastic. I want a really smooth surface, because if I had a rough surface when I go and saute it, it's not going to look as good and it's not going to brown evenly. So I try to get that as flat as I can. All right. So a couple hours later, I took it out of the fridge. Again, 30 minutes is fine. And I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to cut 6 triangles here. Now in a saute pan on the stove, I went ahead and I put on medium heat a little bit of olive oil. You don't need a ton, but you do need enough in there to crisp it up. And this is not really going to absorb any oil, so don't worry too much about the calories. So make sure you get a good amount of oil in the pan. And there we go. So I got, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch of oil in there. And about 5 minutes on one side, it became nice and golden brown and crunchy. And the inside stays really nice and soft and moist, and the outside gets a nice crust on it. So it's really nice contrast. I served it with my chicken with mushrooms. That also is on the site. Hey, give that a try. Soft polenta is delicious. Crispy polenta triangles, even more so. Enjoy.